Hello everyone, this is EGWwrites, the author and creator and voice of Lady Eilean. This audiobook video is a companion piece to the novel Lady Eilean, which is available to read for free at wattpad.com. You can find this book and a handful of others on my profile. To view that, please visit wattpad.com/EGWwrites. Two quick housekeeping notes before we get started. Number one, this book will contain adult content, so listener discretion is advised. Please use headphones or listen privately. Number two, I live in New York City, and as much as possible, will try to edit around city sounds like sirens, car alarms, shouting, traffic, and etc. But sometimes there is no avoiding it. My apartment is a little too small for a recording booth. Thank you for your patience. Now, grab a cup of coffee or tea, snuggle up, and let's read. Lady Eilean, Chapter 9. On a balmy, bright morning in late May that was both my birthday and the date of Walter's secret wedding to Bess, Alex arrived at the stables and timidly presented me with a bouquet of wildflowers. "I hope I can do better by you this birthday than I did the last time I was here to celebrate it," he said shyly. I took the bouquet, amazed. Between the two of us, it was unclear who was more affected by the exchange. My brothers, hovering around and saddling their horses, tried their best to give us privacy. Well, some of them did. Rupert and Timothy snickered and pantomimed a passionate embrace. They fell into a pile of hay and writhed around on the ground, howling. "Ignore them," I said, even as I felt my face turn a violent shade of red. Alex, Pink himself, said loudly, "I wanted to make sure someone around here remembered you on your birthday." He stared down at my brothers and they answered his challenge with a beleaguered chorus of well wishes. It was obvious that without this reminder, they would have had no idea it was my birthday at all. I beamed, already enjoying this birthday more than any others that had ever come before it. "The flowers are lovely, thank you. And I appreciate you providing an example to these lowlifes on how to behave." I tucked the blooms into my belt. Alex leaned against the neck of my horse, stroking its mane. "Have you heard about Walter's event tonight?" he asked me in a whisper. "Wedding?" I said, matching his tone. "Yes, are you going?" "Are you?" I asked, surprised. The last I had heard, the ceremony was to be small, private. I was under the impression that I would be the only witness. Walter extended the invitation to me last night. "I'll be there," I said. "I'm glad you will be too." Alex looked over his shoulder to where Walter was mounting his horse. We only had a few more minutes until my brothers would complain that we were wasting daylight. I made to get on my horse, but Alex grabbed my wrist, holding me still. He grinned at me wickedly. "Get out of whatever lessons you can today. I have a plan to help the newlyweds celebrate." I looked at Ian, who was watching us closely. When I challenged his stare, he looked away. Turning to Alex, I grinned. "What did you have in mind?" After lunch, Alex met me in my rooms. He brought a large cloak and told me to wear it. "Ian is going to be livid when I don't show up to our lessons," I said, throwing the garment over my shoulders. "I don't care," Alex said, laughing. "You can use the excuse of your birthday and wanting to wish Walter marital bliss if he demands answers." "Why did you bring this cloak?" I asked, fastening it at my chin. "I was under the impression you were still confined to the grounds, and that's why we ride out early every morning." Rolling my eyes, I grunted. "I think we ride so early because Ian is a sadist." There was no stopping my smile, however. The freedom and knowledge Ian had given me was a gift I could never repay. While I might have griped about the hours and the exhaustion, I was glad he had found me at the bottom of my dark abyss. There was a light and wonder and magic in my life again. Alex chuckled. "Confined to the grounds or not, who can resist the allure of a disguise?" "Fair point." I threw my hood over my head and adopted a severe limp to go with it, doing my best to clamp down on the laughter that bubbled up in my throat. We left the chambers and devised a plan for the guards, should they dare ask questions of Lord Leslie. By the time we reached the main gate, our story was quite elaborate. Alex had spilled some ale, which caused me, a kitchen maid, to wrench my ankle. He was only doing the gentlemanly thing and escorting me to my mother's house in the nearby village. No one stopped us, nor turned a spare eye in our direction, and soon we were free of the castle grounds. I ripped off the cloak and enjoyed the feel of bright sunshine on my face. We made our way to the river, picking our steps carefully through the boggy, muddy ground. "Mother is going to kill me if I ruin this dress," I said, stopping for the fourth time to collect the ruffles and flounces in my arms. It was a desperate struggle to keep the skirts from dropping into the muck. Alex looked over his shoulder, noting the wet stains streaking up the light blue silk. "Your hymn is ruined. You might as well surrender. You've lost the battle, Eilean." Huffing, I dropped my skirts. "Yes, but I had hoped to hide my tracks." "A foolish notion," he teased as he approached the bank of the river. The river was wide and fast, but had several offshoots where the water collected in rocky shallows. Concealed from the castle by a steep hill, we would be hidden from view. While I had become adept at sneaking out before dawn and seeing the world in the rosy glow of early morning, this was my first time outside the castle when it was broad daylight. I was dizzy with the wide expanse of world open to me, the brightness of the sky, the charming picture as sunlight danced on the sparkling water. "This is beautiful," I said in awe. "By all means, paint a picture, but I brought you out here for a purpose." Alex bent and swiftly reached into the water. He pulled out a bright green frog and held it aloft. "I need your very special skills. If you still have them, of course." A challenge glimmered in his eye, and his lips pulled back to the side of his mouth in a playful smirk. "It has been a very long time since I tried to catch frogs," I said, seeing what Alex had planned for Walter's wedding night. "Think you can still beat me?" I grimaced, looking at the pool before me. The mossy rocks, the slippery mud. It made me queasy to even consider touching a frog. Feeling the creature squirm and wriggle in my fingers, enduring the frantic thrash of them in my pockets, I shuddered. When I didn't answer, Alex laughed. "Coward." "How did you find out where Walter and Bess were staying tonight anyway?" I asked, watching as Alex pocketed another frog. It was unlikely they would spend their wedding night in the castle. I went down to the kitchen to get some extra buns after breakfast. When I saw cook preparing a basket of wine and other food, I asked what it was for, and she told me. "I'm glad to see her confidence can be peddled for the mere price of some blue eyes and flattery," I chuckled. Alex and Cook had always been thick as thieves. He loved her sweets, and she enjoyed mothering him. Alex looked at me innocently. "I flatter no one," he said, dropping his hand to press it over his coat pocket, which was wriggling frantically. "Not unless cinnamon buns are involved," I shot back. "Or pretty ladies," he winked. I took a step back, stumbling at his words. "None of those around here, I'm afraid." Alex opened his mouth but promptly closed it. He turned back to his struggle with the frogs. I watched him work for a while, wondering if I had made some kind of misstep. Deciding it would do me no favors to replay the exchange repeatedly in my mind, I let it go. "Come," Alex said, after he had secured about 20 frogs. "These beasts won't be happy for much longer. Let's get them where they need to be." "Lead the way," I said, gesturing with my hand. Alex exited the ankle-deep water of the shallows and looked at me with a bright grin. "To the Knight's Inn." Sneaking through a side entrance of the inn, Alex and I ran up the stairs to the topmost room. A polished gold plaque on the door read, "Wedding Suite." We barged in. "Look, they've decorated it so beautifully," I said, admiring the sprays of wildflowers placed around the room and tumbling down the canopy of the bed. "Oh!" I jumped, noticing a maid in the room, sweeping the grates. "Excuse us. We are leaving a good omen of love and good luck for the happy couple," Alex said evenly, doing his best to keep his coat from jumping. The girl swept her eyes across Alex and I, taking in our mud-streaked appearance. She pressed her lips into a fine line, unimpressed and disbelieving. Gathering her things, she left the room, shooting us an annoyed glance as she passed. "So much for witnesses," I grumbled. "How do we keep the frogs in the bed?" Alex asked, struggling with his cargo. "Prayer," I snipped irreverently. "We'll just tuck in the sheets, of course, but be quick with it so we can get back." "Nervous someone will notice you're gone?" "Not likely," I said, glum. "You are far too locked up," Alex said, crossing to the bed. "You were as a child, and it's worse now." "I know that." I kicked the door frame, frustrated. "I don't control it." Alex looked at me with a sad, compassionate smile. "I think you have more control than you realize. You just don't accept it. You don't know what it was like for the last 3 years. Before you showed up, I don't think my brothers even knew my name. All of this," I held my arms out wide, "the writing and the lessons and being included are brand new. It only happened after the standing." Alex grunted and busied himself with scooping the frogs out of his pockets. I assisted, holding the bed covers up so he could deposit our wedding gift. "It's easy, too easy for all of you to imagine how you would do things differently. But none of you are me, Alex, and none of you are women. As men, you have more freedom than you realize." "I am sorry," he said, looking at me. "You're right. Give it time. Give me time. I can attend lessons now. I can sneak out with you and my brothers at dawn, but I have to be cautious. Anything and everything I do can jeopardize my success at fulfilling my duty." Alex frowned. "Do you want it? Do you want to marry and be used as a bargaining chip?" I blinked a few times and considered. I had never even asked myself such a question. "No," I answered. "What do you want?" Shaking my head, I tucked the sheets tight around the mattress. That was an even harder question to answer. "I don't know." I met Alex's gaze and found comfort and understanding there. He nodded. "I hope you find out one day. I hope you are given the chance to find out who you are and what you want. I hope you will be free to pursue your dreams." An ember of warmth sparkled in his eye, a secret, strong emotion I couldn't decipher. Thank you, I breathed, nearly undone at the intensity of his blessing. I won't stand for your abuse, he swore. Laughing, if only to deflate the heavy air of the room, air that was too alive, too potent, I said, "If you think I'm being abused, then you have been much too spoiled, Alex. No, you have been much too unloved." I had to look away, to blink back the sudden rush of feeling that overwhelmed me. It was confusing to receive such open, frank concern. I wasn't sure what to say in return. Alex smoothed the bed covers and allowed me a moment to pull myself together. When I again looked at him, he smiled. "I hope they use a bed warmer," he said with a mischievous smile. My vulnerability vanished in an instant and I laughed. "You're terrible." Alex grinned and held out his hand. "Let's get back." Without hesitation, I clutched his hand in mine. It was so familiar, so soothing. We didn't drop our hold on each other until we were in sight of the castle gates. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the story. Subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell to be alerted when new chapters are updated. You can also follow me on Wattpad or Twitter at EGWwrites, where I will also share updates. As always, thank you for being a part of Eilean's journey. We are very glad that you're here. Until next time.